Hello everyone, my name is Void Doctor and welcome back to another episode on the InfinityCraft server. And today we're starting out this episode on the Fortress Island that we started terraforming and actually finished terraforming last episode. And I'm still really happy with how this whole island has come together. I actually made a tad bit of off-camera progress. It's really insignificant to be honest, but I just added some kind of bone meal around here and I didn't actually... Those holes are not supposed to be there. I didn't actually realize it, but... when you bone meal places in a coral reef, it has a chance of spawning coral, which is sick. It makes this island feel so lively and colorful underwater. Because, you know, all really underwater not structures, but like islands and even man-made structures have some sort of kind of algae or moss on them. So I just thought it would make it feel a bit more realistic to do that. Unfortunately, I did run out of bone meal. I had 9 stacks to begin with, like a couple weeks ago. Now I'm completely out. But, so I didn't get to finish the entire island, but I still think it looks pretty nice. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that has come together. Now, what I'd like to do in today's episode is obviously work on our mighty fortress. I just want to build it up to be a fully functioning fort, really feeling like it could house soldiers in it and kind of provide defense for this area. So I want to do an interior, everything in this episode. I want to knock this whole place out in this episode. Maybe not the surroundings, but definitely this main fortress here. So what I'm really going to start out with, just right now, right out of the gate, just do some building, is I want to just see what this main courtyard's going to look like, see what the block pallet's going to be for this place, all that kind of stuff. I know it gets a little boring sometimes on the videos, but I know it needs to be done, so I know what to do so I know what the build's going to look like, all that kind of stuff. So just going to do a little like template build right here. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with how this sort of courtyard has come together here. I was thinking of what it was called. I think these 2 little windows here are really cool because people in this building over here are going to be able, you know, people who are just kind of walking in this little hallway here are going to be able to, by the way, this hallway isn't really going to lead to anything. I might have a tiny balcony out here. You can kind of just see out the window there and onto the ocean. I don't know, but yeah, the people who are walking in this hallway will be able to kind of look out these windows and just appreciate kind of the courtyard right there. So yeah, I mean, obviously the floor will be down here and the windows will be all the way up there, but still, I think it's just kind of cool to have windows there. I think it also lets in some natural light, which is always appreciated. So now what I want to do is just lay out some wireframes, specifically dictating the height of these buildings and just making sure all of these buildings have some sort of height variation. Because I don't want all of them to be the same height. A couple of them can be the same height, but I want a lot of height variation. I want that tower to be tall. I want another tower to come out of one of these buildings. So yeah, I'm just going to lay out a few little frames. Okay, so I think this height variation is definitely what I was looking for. Not all of these are odd numbers. I was trying to make all of them odd numbers, but then I realized it was like the height of a building. It doesn't actually need to be in odd numbers. I have no clue why that's there, or why that's missing rather. But yeah, it's like the height of a building. It doesn't actually need to be in odd numbers. Unlike the footprint of it, I should probably make sure all of these are odd numbers, but I'm fairly sure they all are. But yeah, I just think this whole place has, it definitely slopes up. Other than that tower over there, it definitely slopes up. Like you start at, I think it's like 10 blocks there, and you go up to like, I think it's like 12 or 13 blocks, then you go all the way up to like 22 blocks up there. So yeah, this should also provide a very impressive way of flying the flag of this nation here. So that, yeah, that's also pretty cool. So yeah, I think we're just gonna build up this place in the form of a time lapse. Now that's not before I go and spend like 4 hours gathering sandstone and sand for sandstone. So yeah, that should be fun. Okay, folks, I hope you all enjoyed that time lapse as much as I enjoyed creating it. Oh, and if you're wondering why I have Hero of the Village, yeah, things went south during that time lapse, and I just had to pause the recording entirely. Anyway, yeah, I think this whole structure has come together insanely well. I wasn't expecting it to look this well defended, but the fact that it's on an island combined with its just sort of grand, gigantic appearance makes it feel so strong and impenetrable. I can't even really describe it. And also, it just makes sense in the lore of the world. Again, it kind of funnels ships into the port of Horeesia, which is exactly where we want ships to go. So yeah, it makes sense in like the lore of this town. It makes sense from a kind of just a design standpoint of the entire town, because it really adds something to look at when you're standing out on the port other than just the ships sailing by. And obviously it was just a fun build and a nice use of time, I guess. So yeah, the next thing I guess we're gonna do is go detail this thing up, just go add floors, all that good stuff to make this place feel like a very lived-in structure. So I'm gonna go grab my stuff box, and we're gonna go build. I don't have a building materials box per se, so yeah, that might I don't have a interior building materials box because I know how to manage my shulker boxes. Okay, folks, so I think I'm just going to start out by adding some very basic floors to these buildings like I did with this one. I actually don't really have a use for this building yet. I don't think I know what I want to do with this yet. The other ones, I think I have some uses. Like this one is pretty much just going to be a glorified hallway where archers could stand watch on this side. These two, the towers, are obviously just kind of going to be watchtowers. This I don't really have a use for. I want this to kind of be like the armory where the soldiers go to get geared up in case of combat, and this is going to be the main living quarters for all the soldiers here. So we'll have like probably a mess hall on this floor, some stairs, and we'll probably have a few rows of a few floors of barracks. And that's also why I haven't installed windows on this building yet, because I want them to be more tastefully done, because it's definitely a more important building, because that's where all the soldiers, or that's where most of the soldiers will be, because it's just a larger space. So we want it to be a tad bit more defended with maybe less windows, whereas these buildings, they kind of face the harbor. They just have a lot of arrow slits in them, so archers can fire down on incoming ships, all of that good stuff. Okay, folks, so I just got some very simple interiors in here. Not even really interiors, just literally floors and stairs, as I said I was going to do before. And I just think it really, and obviously lighting as well, and I just think it really adds to the aesthetic of these windows, because before it looks like you're just looking into kind of an empty building, but now it looks like there's something in there. And once we start actually adding interiors, it'll really start looking like you're looking inside of a fortress. However, for the interiors of these buildings with the arrow slits in them specifically, especially on the front, I think I want to leave the windows pretty open, because the aesthetic of being able to just look at tons of these windows makes this whole place seem very imposing. So yeah, and I have a few personal favorite areas to hang out in at this fortress now. Here also looks really nice because you're able to see out this side and see the entire city, and you're able to look out this side and see the entire landscape, and you're able to look out this side and see the entire city. So yeah, this is also one of my favorite spots. Up here is also super nice because you get fantastic views of everything. You get views of the ocean out that way. There's just, again, the surrounding landscape, just kind of the wilderness out that way. And obviously, you get great views of Horeesia down there. So, yeah, this place is fantastic. I want to put a massive Horeesia flag right here. So I think that's the next thing I want to do. I also want to just throw up some Horeesia banners right here. But a giant Horeesia flag right there would look awesome. Okay, folks, so I've just gotten some banners placed in here, and I think they all look pretty good. I think that's there. I think that's a pretty good rendition of this flag right here, as it has like 10 total pixels to work with. I think I did a pretty good job up there. And then just having some banners around here definitely makes it feel like it's more of a government installation than a civilian, privately owned fortress, which is true. This is definitely a government installation. So yeah, I think this whole place looks pretty cool, and it also serves to remind the citizens of Horeesia that obviously their government is always watching their actions, or at least the people who you can see from up here. Like, you can't see a lot of the town because it's obscured by most of the waterfront buildings, but still, you can see some of the people. I mean, I assume Prime isn't a lot of, never mind. But the next thing I'd like to work on is getting some interiors in here. Obviously, a lot of interiors will happen on streams and things like that, but I just want to get a few done in the video because it's just fun. I like interiors, and especially adding interiors to like fortresses and things is always fun. I'm not going to add an interior to this build because I honestly don't know what I want to do here, and I kind of want to put it off until I really shouldn't put it off anymore, so yeah. Okay, so I just want to start out by adding a simple little like dining hall in here. I might do it on the second floor if it looks a bit strange in here with all the doors and things. Might add it on the second floor. I don't know, but pretty much the concept here. Tables, very simple. It's literally just that. You can tell they're actual tables. I might not even add benches. I don't know yet, but yeah, and then you can obviously tell they're tables because you add little end bits here. You can also add stripped logs if you'd like, but yeah, it's very simple design, and I think it's very effective. Also, just a slight recommendation, make the benches slightly shorter than the table by a block, and if you don't do that, or even if you do choose to do that, use stripped logs for the ends because it will look a lot more like a table than just kind of a plank of wood sitting there. So yeah, it looks just a tad bit more fortified and strong rather than... You can also use regular logs if you choose to. I just prefer to use stripped logs because they kind of blend in. So yeah, kind of like that. A few seats for soldiers to sit. The soldiers will probably sit elsewhere though as well, so it doesn't have to be a massive dining hall in here. Just a few tables with some seating. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this interior has come together. Okay, here comes the very interesting bit of the residential tower. I would like to add some bunks in here. The one problem with that is that I currently have no wool, which means I'm going to have to gather more wool. So yeah, that'll be fun. See ya. Okay, so I've gotten the living quarters of all the soldiers set up. There's probably not enough beds in here to house all the soldiers that I imagine staffing this fortress, but it's just kind of the thought of it that counts, right? And I think the upstairs, I want to have a big sort of map / planning room in here. I want to have a big map table here, maybe a map of the base, maybe just on the table here, and then maybe just some like seats for people to sit and sort of plan, probably generals and commanders and things, to sit and sort of plan battles in case there's a war going on or something like that, because this is obviously, again, a building of war, so it makes sense to have a large planning room in there. So that's what I want to do with that floor up there, and then I want to use this entire area for a armory. I want to have a giant like stash of armor and weapons, some armor stands with armor with like iron armor and things on them, and then maybe display my first diamond tools in there. I don't know though, but yeah, this will also be where I store all of my old tools, all of my excess like junk tools and stuff, because the way I store tools, I have a bow, flint and steel, and some shears in my storage hall, like quick access, because I'm never going to have that stuff in my inventory at all times, but I like to have it on me. But then I have multiple pairs of shears in case I want to go harvest wool, so storing them out here kind of makes sense because it's only one elytra flight away. That is, once I get rockets. Okay, folks, so I've completed this little map room here. It's mainly focuses on the map here, obviously, because that's really the sort of that's supposed to be the sort of center of attention here. You could have commanders and things sort of surrounding this table with those little sticks. I don't even really know what they're called. What are they called? The little things that you can like move, the little markers for troops around and stuff. Anyway, if you get what I mean, you get what I mean. It's like they're used in like planning rooms and things. I don't know what they're called, but yes, you imagine like some commanders sitting here like telling, kind of making moves on like a smaller scale version of the land. And I obviously made this area a little bit more seamless as it was a little bit awkward, so I just added these two pillars here. But other than that, I really haven't done much to this whole area. This definitely feels a bit finicky here. Definitely just feels like it's like it definitely feels like one structure now, which means it feels like a very thick floor, which is kind of strange. But yeah, I'm probably gonna put some barrels or something up there to kind of make it feel like it's I don't know. I could probably extend that down a bit and make another pillar there, but then you really couldn't get off the staircase. But I might put some barrels up there to kind of make it feel like storage or something. But the next thing I want to do is move on from the fortress. By the way, actually, leave a comment telling me your name for the fortress. I'd like to hear some suggestions here, and if I hear any good ones, we'll probably use them in the name. So, the next thing I'd like to work on is actually, as I was looking at that map, I realized the town is really empty in some areas. Like, let me just show you. Right here, there's just no buildings, and right here too. But in this episode, I want to focus on this area right here. So there's like almost no buildings right there, and there are buildings, but there are very few. There's like 3 buildings on the entire area, and it just feels so vacant and kind of empty. So what I'd like to do is kind of fill this whole waterfront area, not the waterfront area, but the real estate just behind that, because this is going to be like shops and other things like that. That's what's going to be that's what I'm going to fill the prime waterfront real estate with. But just behind that, like right there, right here, I want to fill that with just a bunch of houses. But instead of doing this design, I actually want to incorporate some logs in the actual structure of the builds, just because I think it'll look cool. So what I want to do is just kind of design some houses for this place. Also, by the way, this whole area blew up, a creeper exploded. But yeah, I just want to kind of design some houses for this place using actual logs instead of strip logs, and just see what that looks like. So I'll see you in a sec after I'm done designing some houses in a creative test world, obviously. Okay, so I just finished designing this house here, and I think this is a pretty good idea of what I want to do for the houses. You know, have our normal sandstone walls, but then have them sort of surrounded by some nice oak logs here. It just breaks up the sandstone a bit and definitely makes this feel like a little bit of a different house. And we don't have to use this roof style. This is just kind of a placeholder. We could literally just have it be sort of like the default Minecraft villages, where it's just like a kind of a, you know, obviously like this. Just kind of a big box kind of feeling. I just feel like this is a bit more interesting, but obviously, again, we don't really have to go for any particular roof shape. So yeah, I want to design just a bunch of these houses on the server, build them up, and just kind of see what that feels like. I think we're probably going to do this just in progress updates, because we already had one big time lapse in this episode. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this, because I definitely want to expand the town in that direction now that we've worked on expanding it in a lot of other directions, including out into the ocean. So now I think it's time we focus back on the land, and especially in that area, which has been pretty neglected. So yeah, excited for this. Okay, so I've just built up some wire frames here with some logs and some sandstone bases, and now I'm just going to kind of build up these wire frames, fill in the walls, things like that. And I'm pretty excited for how these whole like log based houses are going to look. I'm probably not going to use them too much, because obviously they are a bit, they don't make too much sense, because like there obviously isn't an abundance of trees here. But maybe these are just, you know, they're kind of on the waterfront, they're kind of showpiece houses, so maybe that's the case. Or maybe there is, like, I guess there is a mesa woodlands over there, so maybe they are getting some wood shipped in, so maybe they are able to build some houses out of wood. But yeah, I'm just gonna build up these houses and obviously record a few progress updates, so you all can see where I'm at. So see you in a bit. Okay, so I finished building up this house, and I think it actually looks really nice. I think these windows are pretty cool, and I just think the whole shape of the house is pretty cool. I also like that the roof is a nice kind of roof, just a kind of roof composition in general. I just think it all looks pretty nice, and the server is extremely laggy right now. I have no clue why. I'm gonna try and maybe power cycle the server. I don't know, but yeah, I'm just gonna build up the rest of these houses, and then we'll wrap up the episode. Okay, so there's no lighting in here, but I think this ceiling design with the stairs kind of alternating like that, and also the roof design, the exterior roof design with the kind of different heights of the crenellations just looks really nice. I think it breaks up the skyline a bit with the kind of more interesting crenellation design, whereas the rest of the buildings have kind of flat, consistent crenellations. So yeah, I just think this whole house kind of looks a little bit different, especially on the inside with this different roof design, or this different ceiling design, I guess, I definitely think this whole house has come together very nicely. I got some windows around here, so yeah, I'm going to work on putting a very basic interior in there, really just pretty much putting down a floor, and then we'll move on to this final house, which is obviously going to be the largest. So yeah, excited for this one. Should make the whole kind of waterfront scene look nice, and this is going to be one of the waterfront properties, since obviously there isn't enough room for any other ones, but I do want to put sort of like maybe a harbor master's house right there, someone that kind of also, again, like a tax collection house, all that kind of stuff that's essential to a functioning port. But that stuff will not be happening in today's episode because obviously we are running pretty low on time. Okay, this may be my favorite little simple interior I've ever created. You've got some nice shelves here with some barrels on top, so whoever's living here has some storage. Got a furnace with a little counter next to it, maybe have it that way so I can do some food prep and then put it in the oven. And then obviously you have the bed in the corner. I just think this whole place looks really nice, and now it's time to move on to this building right here. And yeah, I just decided to get efficiency 5 on my axe so I can chop wood faster, which will make this whole process a lot easier. Okay, folks, so this house is fully complete, and actually, I just got off streaming, so if you all would like to check out the VOD of that stream, please feel free to at my Twitch channel. I mean, obviously feel free to, it would be greatly appreciated, but yeah, that was a pretty fun stream. We actually worked on creating a road from this village, from the town, from the city of Horeesia to the village that I'm naming Vuama. Essentially, I have a game. It's called World Box, right? It's just a simple little mobile game on my phone, and every time you create a kingdom, it randomly generates a name. And I saw the name of one of the, or not a kingdom, a city. I saw one of the names, and it's like, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's cool. We should use that on in one of the cities. And so I named that little farming settlement over there Vuama. So we have a road connecting Horeesia to Vuama, which I just think is pretty cool. But yeah, this house has come together pretty nicely here. I think this roof up here with these spires and the pots on top of them is pretty cool. And I also included some potted cacti just for a little bit of detail. But now I'm going to add quite a large interior, considering that that's quite a large building. And then we'll wrap up the episode. Okay, folks. So I think Alright, here we are, folks. So, I think I've constructed a pretty nice, pretty expansive interior in here. Got quite a bit of space, got some shelves in here with some trophies, an iron golem head, and a phantom head. And then you obviously got some barrels up there for storage. You got a nice kitchen right here with a little counter and some furnaces and a little food prep area like the last house. And then up here, you just got a nice bedroom for 2 people. Got a bunk bed with some trapdoors and a little table right there. And obviously up at the top, you got a nice place to hang out and just watch the harbor, watch the boats in the harbor. And then obviously here you could also hang out and watch the happenings around the town. So yeah, I'm very happy with how these few houses have come together. And I think I'll probably construct a few more off camera, not on camera, because it's I've pretty much gotten the construction of these houses down to a formula now. So unless I just want it to be the content of an episode, I don't really need to do it in a video. But yeah, I think all these houses look pretty nice. So yeah, I think this is where we are going to wrap up today's episode. So we've constructed quite a bit today. We've built a mighty fortress out on an island, out to sea. I mean, I guess on an island already implies it's out to sea, but we also constructed, or began the construction of, a new little neighborhood here featuring some different houses with logs in them, things like that, and did a couple interiors. So as always, my name has been Void Doctor. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did enjoy the episode and feel inclined to do so, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye for now.